Spiritual teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, who said, the real miracle is not to walk on water. The real miracle is to walk on the earth. And I love that because to me, it speaks to the heart of what true spirituality really is. You know, when we get into all
True spirituality. Who decides what is true spirituality?
these spiritual teachings and we become spiritual seekers like I was for many years, I was like the world's most obsessed spiritual seeker. It's so easy to get mesmerized by all these teachings about pure, unadulterated perfection and the end of suffering and transcending the world and getting into altered states that
This is very true. In the beginning of your journey, that stuff can sound really enticing and can become addictive for sure.
it's so easy to forget that we are also human beings. We have these animal bodies. We also walk on the earth. We are also wonderfully fallible, imperfect, vulnerable, sensitive human beings, as much as we are pure and perfect and divine and pure consciousness and pure awareness and all of that. So I think there is a shadow side to spirituality, and in particular, I mean, my experience has been with non-dual teachings. I mean, for many years, I was considered to be a non-duality teacher, whatever that means, and I kind of had to quit a few years ago to resign from being a non-duality teacher, only because I found that this word.
Let me just chime in right now. I suggest to you, because I've seen this person's videos when I was in the beginning of my journey, comparing different teachers. And respectfully, even if you're watching this, I'm saying it straight, respectfully, I got this feeling that he was above with the clouds. I didn't find groundedness. You can look at the older videos. I didn't find it. Now I can understand right at the beginning, it can feel very like, wow, when you have this experience, if he has had it, wow, I really am infinite awareness. You can look at my first video and see that, for example. But to start actually teaching, it has to be integrated. Has to be integrated before you could call yourself a teacher and charge money.
Non-duality was confusing so many people, and it was becoming, if I speak really honestly, I feel like it was becoming a kind of cult. Like, I'm non-dual and you're not, or like non-duality.
I'm sorry, I knew this video would go like this. A cult. I'm non-dual and you are not. I mean, if there is such thing as cults within this space, then that's down to the teacher. It's always down to the teacher. And don't get me wrong, I would agree that there were some teachers who, I'll not name the names, allow people to kiss their feet. Like, what? So yeah, there is some degree of that. It's true. But at the end of the day, it's down to the teacher. So if you was a teacher, why would you not tell people, hey, I'm just like you? I'm just trying to reveal to you as a reflection of you what you also are, which is all that is
the true truth, is the absolute truth, and all other viewpoints are less than. I felt like it was, for many people, it was becoming a dogma. So there is a beautiful, beautiful truth to the non-dual teachings. You know, on one level, we are, and this is something you don't have to believe. This is something that you can look for. You can look for yourself. And this is what meditation is great for, looking for yourself. You know, on one level, when we really look, what we find is that deep down, we are this awareness. Again, call it what you want. The words don't really matter. They're all fingers pointing to the moon.
well, I was about to say very true, but when he said the moon, I assume he's speaking figuratively. So yes, there are many names, as I've said many times, for the awareness that we are, the consciousness that we are, the God that we are. There are many names for it, for sure.
You are this vast ocean of pure awareness, unchanging, undying. You are timeless. You are ageless. You are pure spirit, pure divinity. On the deepest level, I am what you are. You have your life story and I have my life story, but underneath both, we are the same awareness, the same presence, the same consciousness, the same ocean. We appear as separate waves, but we are the same ocean. So there is a beautiful Of course, I'm massively oversimplifying it, but that's the basic truth of non-duality.
You're not oversimplifying it though. It really is that simple and that true. Like going further than that is could be possibly over talking or going into the ego, because that is it. Underneath all of our conditionings, underneath this or before the observer of the mind or before the mind, so the observer of the mind, we are all that same observer, we're all that ocean. It is simple. That's the whole thing about non-duality, is it is actually simple. Going into the whole state of like certain person like Tony Parsons, I remember watching one of his videos saying that love is meaningless. Now you're getting into your ego. Like there's no need to say love is meaningless. Again, not this person, another person called Tony Parsons. You can see him on YouTube. I remember watching that thinking, what? You're doing too much. Love is not meaningless.
Is that you who you really are on the very deepest level? Is this pure? It's unspeakable, of course. This pure awareness. So the danger of non-duality, and this is what I found over the years, is there were people going around who were so identified with being pure awareness. It's like that had become their new identity. That their ego had latched onto this idea that they are pure awareness. You know, and I'm only exposing this because this is what I did for many years as well. I was one of these people. I believed with all my strength and all my heart and all my might that I am pure awareness.
And I'm cutting in, I have to chime in. This is a reaction video, but to say that I believed I am pure awareness, respectfully, and again, I did kind of get this idea back in the day that this person wasn't truly awakened experientially, because there is no belief. It just is, oh, that's what I am, and now I live my life. That's it. As a human being, that's it. It's not belief, and I've been saying that to you guys for so long. When you know, it's not a belief anymore. It's like, okay, I can relax. I know what I am truly. The rest of it is like, not literally, but like a game or like a dream. Okay, but it's a real experience. Okay, I really am a body. I really am the mind. But ultimately, I'm that plus the non-physical side too. So what becomes human expands. You're not just the physical, you're also the non-physical as one at the same time. And that's just mind-blowing.
I'm not a mind, I'm not a body, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my story, I am pure awareness. So there's a beautiful truth to that statement, but the danger is, and I've just seen this, I saw this happen in myself, I see this happen in non-dual students, I've seen this happen in non-dual teachers.
So I have to say though, you are not your thoughts, regardless of whatever else is said by anybody. It's just true, you're not your thoughts. Even without spirituality, even scientifically, they debate about this. Philosophically, they debate about this. Whether it comes to the mind, free will, do you choose your thoughts? It's very clear to see that there is no chooser of the thoughts. Like, it's okay to understand that, yes, people can get lost in non-duality, but the truth remains the truth. What you call I is not the thought, is not the thinker. And if you think it is, even more beauty to this is look for yourself. Don't believe me. Never believe me. Look for yourself. Try and find this thinker of the thoughts. It's really funny because you can't find it. It just feels like we are the ones conjuring the thought. Okay? But this is a huge way to relieve stress and issues that we have so-called mentally, knowing that we are not the literal chooser of the thoughts. We are aware of the thoughts. Of course, the thoughts correspond to our emotions, our body, our environment, of course. But as a literal, let me choose this thought over that thought type of chooser, that's not the case. And that is liberating. And again, you can still live as a human being knowing that.
Just becomes a new resting place. It becomes a new dogma. It becomes a new identity. I am pure awareness. And you kind of, the danger is you fall into this kind of untouchable place. You become this untouchable, pure awareness. And of course, that's not what you really are. Deep down, you still have all these kind of human feelings and doubts and fears, and you still have trauma. But you are denying all of that, suppressing all of that, because your new identity is that you are pure. I am pure awareness. So
it's not really that. It's just you reframe the trauma. You reframe that which is attached to your identity. You don't forget it. You can't ignore something that's in your face. You can't touch fire and say, "Oh, I'm just the observer of it. It doesn't hurt." No, it's gonna hurt. Um, but you just don't attach to these things. That's all it is. You don't have to wholly just leave non-duality or leave all these things. Although even myself, I've said many times, I find it hard to call myself a non-dual teacher or a spiritual teacher myself, because I see that fundamentally we are all this thing anyway. I'm not different to you, right? We are all this thing. But yeah, it's just about not identifying, attaching to the trauma, because it's true, and you can come and look for yourself that you are not, whatever you call yourself, is not identical to the trauma. You are not that. You are the observer of the experience of it that happened and the feelings of it, but you're not literally it. For example, if I said to you, "Hey, what's your name?" You wouldn't say, "I'm trauma." You wouldn't say that. You're not it. It's something that comes into your awareness and dissolves back into the awareness. Okay? So it's not literally what you are. And there's nothing wrong with understanding that. Yes, it's something that you can come to terms with in different ways. Like whether it's speaking to people or praying or meditation or things like that. Okay? But the fact is, it's not literally you. And telling somebody that it is you, I'm not saying he's saying that, but telling somebody that no, you are your trauma, oh my gosh, that's such the wrong thing to do, because it's not true. Like, how can you climb out of that hole if you're telling someone that's it, you're stuck, you're just stuck forever, that's it? You're gonna feel less than. Versus, oh no, you're not stuck, it just seems as though you are. It seems as though you are. And eventually you can come to see that, oh yeah, it just seemed as though I was my trauma, but I was just carrying it, and I don't have to carry it.
Starts off as a beautiful living truth, but the danger is that it just becomes a dogma. It becomes another resting place. It becomes a kind of I'm special thing. And you know, I being part of the non-dual teacher club for many years, I went around the world and I met a lot of these non-dual teachers, spiritual teachers, awakening teachers, at conferences and hanging out with them and staying at their houses. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. I was mostly very disappointed over the years meeting these spiritual teachers, and let me explain that. I think I had this idea that they were all perfect human beings. So it was actually very beautiful to one by one to meet them and be disappointed because, and this was behind the scenes, spending time with them when they weren't on stage, when they weren't being watched, all of them, bar none. And I met some of the most famous spiritual teachers on the planet, most successful, most famous. They all, every single one of them, they all had doubts, they all had fears, they all got triggered sometimes. They all had trauma that they were struggling with. They all well, I mean, there was a whole range that I saw, but at the very worst, I saw them take out their stuff on their partners, on their students.
I can believe that. As I said, I've seen some, even just on YouTube, who are kind of cult-ish for sure.
But look, this is not to judge anyone. I'm not saying this to judge. What I'm saying is, we are all so deeply human. As much as we are pure presence, pure awareness, divine, we are also human beings. We are also infallible, fallible, imperfect human beings. Not infallible, fallible, imperfect human beings. So it was actually a blessing.
It's true, we are fallible on one level as human being, but again, he's not saying anything wrong there. It really does come down to when you've had your awareness expanded about what you are, it just becomes more of a choice as to what level you choose to identify as. And you can do it in an integrated way. For example, if I look at myself, like I've had this experience I've mentioned many times of oneness, there's no difference between me and my microphone, me and the floor, me and other people, etc., etc. I'm very aware, it's in the forefront of my being, that's what I truly am. But at the same time, I will crack jokes with people. I'm dancing all the time, and to dance I have to be my body, right? enjoying food. I'm not like detached. So it's really about integration. You just got to integrate.
Think that my expectations, my projections, one by one were completely shattered, and I started to realize, oh my goodness, we're all just human beings.
But don't get me wrong, I'm appreciating his journey and his growth. I'm not saying it in a higher or lower level way, but he's coming to this realization that, um, there is no such thing as literally being awareness. Like, you're just that. No, you can't just be the tail side. You have to be the head side as well.
Beings doing our best, and it was very enlightening, actually. And I came to realize very, very, very deeply that, we may believe all these things, all these spiritual concepts and ideas, but what does it all mean if we're not really, really, truly living it in our daily lives? So that's
I agree 1000% with that one.
what really interests me now, is really living these teachings in our daily lives. And not trying to be perfect and not trying to be the most enlightened, but really embracing our deep humanity, embracing our imperfections, embracing our doubts. These aren't shameful things we need to hide. And with all these spiritual teachers I met, it's like, some of them, bless them, were really open about their imperfections, about their doubts, about their things they were still struggling with in their lives, the relationship conflicts and dramas that they had, problems with family that they had, and some of them weren't. Some of them, just no matter what you said, they would just pretend to be perfect. And I never suffer, I never feel pain, I never feel doubt, I never feel anger. That's all ego. That's all illusion. Blah 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 blah.
But the thing about that, even if somebody does claim to be infallible, let's say, and really see or live in a way that everything is illusory all the time, if you yourself have awakened, so to speak, because really you're always that truth, so what? It doesn't matter. Unless that person is hurting somebody else, it doesn't really matter. Let them live in their perception of the all that is, because we are all aspects of the all that is, whatever name we give it. But all of it is what we are all born from, right? So that's okay. Like, let people act like they're perfect, etc. Because you should know when you awaken that ultimately we are all both. We are all both the source and also that which is dancing in the source, eating food in the source, as the source.
But we defend ourselves in so many ways,
Being arrogant in the source, being humble in the source,
don't we? So again, this isn't to judge anyone. I've been just like that. I was one of them. I've talked about this many times. For years I believed I was the most perfect human being on the planet.
I'm not being funny, but I did say at the beginning that I kind of got this impression from him when I used to watch many people's different videos back in the day before I had my personal experience. So I'm glad he said that.
I believed I was the most enlightened human being on the planet. I believed that I had no ego, that I was pure awareness, I was untouchable.
And let me just remind you guys, as to one of my stories about the ego, there's no such thing as about overcoming the ego. The ego is what you are, in so far as the dualistic aspect of reality. Your name, your identity, that's the ego. That's a separate self. And the thing about it is it's not about overcoming it. It's about actually loving it. Love your ego. Love what you are. Not ego as in arrogance. Ego is in just the identity that you are. It's your friend. That's how I see it. It's you, but it's not all of you. But either way, love it. Love that aspect of you that is thinking and feeling and having doubts and having joy, etc. Love it. Whether you say it's what I am or it's an aspect of what I am, it doesn't matter. Love it. What could go wrong if you love it,
And I had truly, 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 truly realized that, and everyone else hadn't. So it was ironic, in the name of non-duality, I was separating myself from everyone else. So it was actually very, very dualistic. So yeah, this is just to remind you that it's it's okay to be imperfect and human and struggle, and spirituality, non-duality, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. It's not about eradicating all of our human vulnerability.
True.
It's about giving ourselves deep permission, moment by moment, to be beautifully, wonderfully human and sensitive and vulnerable, to make mistakes.
And of course, with mistakes, we learn from them. So there's always a silver lining.
Um, to screw up sometimes, to forget who we are sometimes,
Or at least we can learn from our mistakes. That's your choice.
to have wounds that hurt, and to learn to turn towards those instead of pretending that we're perfect and pretending that we have no wounds and pretending that we are pure awareness and pretending that the body isn't real. All of these concepts, they're all just concepts. They're all just concepts. And what I've learned is that the true freedom and the true joy and the true peace has come from letting go of even the non-dual concepts. I am pure awareness.
You know,
all of that stuff.
It's just coming to me. Again, if you're listening to this, is your name Jeff? With or not, regardless, I'm going to say this. I'm getting a sense that, I mean, this video just came up on my feed, but I'm getting a sense that you're not actually at peace. Respectfully. And hey, we can hang out and talk. It sounds like you're English. Let's meet up. But I don't know. I'm not saying everybody's at peace all the time. I'm not saying that. But you seem to be rejecting a lot that is actually very helpful in non-duality. Again, it's just about integrating, because when it comes to the body, saying the body is not real, well, of course, it's real in a sense that we use it, but in truth, again, it comes down to what level, and that's part of the choice, the brilliant choice, the beautiful choice we have. It comes down to what level you want to associate your I with, as I'm sure you know. Because really, the body, even scientifically, it's just little dots called cells or atoms, right? Just vibrations making it seem as though it's solid. Like, that's just scientific. That's not even spiritual. So what even is a body? Like, at what point do we say it's a body? What part of the car is a car? Yeah, that's a concept too. So you could say there's no such thing as a car. It's a concept. So we can say there's no such thing as a body. It's a concept, actually. However, of course, there's nothing wrong with concepts. This is the thing I keep trying to say to people. There's nothing wrong with concepts, but know what is a concept and what isn't a concept. Know what the truth is as well, so you have that firm grounding.
And just surrendering to the present moment as it is, letting myself be imperfect. There's been such relief and joy in just allowing myself to be imperfect. And ironically and paradoxically, that's where you find the true non-duality, which is not at war with duality. It's not opposed to the appearance of duality. It doesn't say, oh, duality is just an illusion. Human stuff is just an illusion. It's less than. There's no superiority in it.
Well, no, it does say it's an illusion, but it doesn't say it's less than. Again, that's the integration part I'm talking about. Because it just is. It is an illusion. Illusions exist, and it's okay. What we perceive appears to be something that it's not. Again, even scientifically, without spirituality, everything is just energy, just waves and particles. We know this. This is just true reality. Okay, so it is illusory that there is so-called physical world. But again, that's okay though. This is the difference. We're almost on the same page, but that's the difference. It's okay that everything we're perceiving is an illusion of what it really is. It's okay because it's actually beautiful. It's a beautiful illusion. Like kicking a football, that feeling you get of scoring a goal, it's just a feeling that comes and goes, but it's a great feeling. It feels good. Yes, it feels good. But it's not real in the sense that you can hold on to the feeling. I have that feeling of scoring a goal. I have it. Let me put it in my pocket. It comes, it goes. Yeah. It's another aspect within the experience that you're having. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with calling something what it is. Yeah. Like a movie on a screen. You're not going to say the movie on a screen is real. No, it's just a screen. And that's okay. You can still appreciate the experience. You can come to see through an awakening experience, that your body, the mind, the world is an experience. Again, like the movie, it's an experience, but it's a beautiful experience. It's the best experience, and it's inseparable from, of course, that which it is born out of. Let's say the source of it, that of course we can't perceive because it's the source. So, and that's what gives lightness and more freedom and more love, and happiness. I would suggest to a person, at least with me, because I'm less likely to get attached to the human stuff that is negative. Yeah, I can literally pick and choose. Attach to the happy things if I want to, and not attach to the negative things. Okay, but still, obviously, seek to rectify any negative in my life. Of course, if you need money, you need money. You need to heal a scar, you need to heal a scar. You need to feed your belly, etc. But it's not an attachment like, oh my gosh, my life is going to end.
It's the ocean not at war with its waves, not rejecting its waves, not saying, oh, all my waves are an illusion, or trying to get rid of all of its waves. None of that. It's the ocean deeply in love with all of its waves, embracing all of its waves, at one with all of its waves. Ultimately, the ocean is not separate from it, is its waves. So non-duality ultimately is not separate from the appearance of duality. It's all one movement. So then that's why I had to go.
Of course, and I don't care if this is my ego speaking, because again, I love my ego, but I've been saying this for years. Like the so-called dualistic experience is not different from the non-dual experience. It's here. It's all here. All of it is here now. It's the same thing. However, it's understanding what it is on a more deeper level. But it's all here. You can't have non-duality without duality. You can't have duality without non-duality. You can't have a thing without the observer of the thing. You can't have a thing without the space that allows that thing to be. And that spacious space, just happens to be our true selves. So yeah, it's inseparable.
That's why I had to quit as a non-dual teacher. It didn't make any sense. So these days I'm just so deeply in love, more than ever, with our wonderful, fleshy, earthy, muddy, sensual, imperfect, vulnerable human.
Well, this guy must have went really deep if he was not really enjoying or in love with the material sensations that we have from nature, which is fine. He's admitting it, so But yeah, you don't get so lost that you don't appreciate that which is apparently physical. Or even just call it physical and not even call it apparent. You don't have to call it apparent. Don't get me wrong, people. I don't always walk around saying this is an apparent reality or illusory reality. I don't say that. It's only when I'm talking to you about truth, so you can have the grounding first, so you know where you are within this reality. But yeah, we can call things material as well, because again, it's just a concept. Because you know that it's a concept, so you can use the words without attaching to the word itself. Okay, we're just using the word for relevant purposes.
Humanity, with our beautiful doubts, with the mistakes that we make, with trying. Bless us all. We try.
I never make mistakes. I'm joking.
Try so hard. We try so hard to do it right. We try so hard to be good, to be all these things. And for me, I found spirituality not separate from the world. Non-duality not separate from duality, but deeply infusing. My divinity deeply infuses the earth. It's there in a dog poo on the pavement. It's there in the face of my child, in the face of my partner. It's there in a cloud, in a blade of grass. It's there in a tree. It's there in the sound of the cars beeping their horns outside. It's here in the body, in the flesh, in the joy and the sorrow and the boredom and the clarity and the doubt. In all of it. It's all sacred. It's all
True, it's all sacred for sure.
All sacred. And so I just wanted to make this video about just pointing out the shadow side of spirituality, or the shadow side of non-duality. Is that the danger is we become less than human. We forget our humanity.
Just to clarify, no, it's possible to become losing your humanity and things like that, but it's also the same in religion. It's the same in being an atheist who thinks the world is meaningless, or becomes a misanthrope, which means you hate all people. So there's extremes to everything. That's all it is. It's not rocket science. There's extremes to everything.
Become very, very serious, and non-duality becomes a new dogma, and we start pretending to be perfect. And that becomes the goal, is being perfect and never suffering. And then we just end up becoming cold and robotic, and it's exhausting, and we do damage to each other, because when we
This is one reason I would say it helps me personally that I never left sports or dancing, because when you're playing sports or you're dancing, you literally have to enjoy and use your body. So it's harder to get lost in the clouds in non-duality, because you appreciate the body's magnificence and the joy and pleasure that can come from using it. Again, like I said, kicking a football into a goal, playing tennis. I play tennis. I'm a tennis player, you could say. I'm not a professional. I'm a dancer, as some of you know. Like, and a lot of these Hindu gods, for example, they're dancing. I wonder why. One reason could be, I suggest, without reading into any text, to keep themselves grounded. You know? So, yeah. So don't lose activities that use your body in a whole way, like sport, the gym, or dancing, for example, swimming.
forget our own deep humanity, we forget the deep humanity of the one who's in front of us. So the more we can fall in love with our own deep humanity, and open to our wounds, and admit to our doubts and our fears, then we can more deeply meet the one in front of us. And how very paradoxical. We're one, but we're not the same, as U2 sang in their song One. We're one, but we're not the same. We are all the ocean.
It's not that simple, the whole how you meet people, because if you're meeting somebody on their level, so to speak, all the time, then it's less likely they're going to have another perspective that they might be seeking. So if somebody's coming to you for help, I suggest use the experience that you have of non-duality, of awakening, of samadhi, of oneness, of satori. Help them see that they are possibly, in quotes, not their thoughts. Help them to see this if they're lost in their thoughts. Don't just be like, oh yeah, I see your humanity. Yeah, thoughts are crazy, aren't they? No, like that's not necessarily going to help them have another perspective. So I'm not saying necessarily tell someone, oh, you don't exist or you are God, like that. No, but you can still give drops of perspective from the perspective that you have from your awakening, so to speak, to help them see something more of themselves. You know, liked one match, you liked another match, you liked another match, you liked 100 matches. You know, from one one match. So yeah, use it. Don't like just go straight into, yeah, man, politics, yeah, everything. No, that's doom and gloom, because no, this isn't all of what life is. And that's one of the beautiful things about oneness and awakening to that self or non-self, is that it's not all as close and mundane and heavy as it seems. The world isn't as heavy as it seems. That weight on your shoulder isn't as heavy as it seems. Yeah, you can experience it as heavy, but it's not as heavy as it seems. So if you can give someone another perspective to help them see from the wider vantage point, not higher or lower, but just wider vantage point, it just is wider. That you're not just carrying the load. You are also this other aspect that has been with you when you was happy, sad, young, older, the age you are now, hurting, not hurting, and has always been immaculate. There's nothing wrong with helping pointing someone to that, because that aspect of them has never left and is with them right now when they seem to be carrying a lot of load. So there's nothing wrong with helping people from a wider perspective, whilst also understanding obviously that they might not be ready to completely just be told, you know, everything that non-duality says, for example.
But at the same time, we are these unique waves, these unique expressions of the ocean. And I think sometimes the danger with non-duality is that we...
True, and that's why I call you guys my fellow expressions of consciousness, because you're my expressions. You know, I'm not saying we are literally one, as in you are me, you are Tiger. No, but we are expressions of that same thing. And I know I keep stopping to talk, but hey, this is a reaction video. Sorry.
We become so mesmerized by our sameness, we're all pure awareness, that we end up missing or dishonoring, or at worst, discounting, or at worse, shaming our wave-like nature, shaming our differences, shaming our individuality, our humanity. So this video is really a call to forget all the concepts about non-duality and just let yourself fall in love with your deep humanity. And there I believe you'll find the true non-duality, the true spirituality. And we don't even need to use those words. The real miracle is not to walk on water, the image of perfection. The real miracle is to walk on the earth. Thank you for listening. If this video has been helpful anyway,
I'll suggest the real miracle is knowing that you can do both, quite frankly. And no, I'm not saying you can literally walk on water, but if you did do that, I wouldn't be so shocked. But I'm not saying that you can, and don't try it. But the real miracle is understanding that you are both. That is the real miracle. Yeah, even in Buddhism, it says before enlightenment, you chop wood and you carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and you carry water. It doesn't change. Your day-to-day doesn't change in that sense. Your understanding of what you are doesn't change in that sense. You just have a wider awareness, a wider perspective. Even Jesus came back from the death, apparently, and still was eating food. You know, like, it's not that you forget your so-called humanity or personhood. No. It's just you understand its rightful place, okay, in the grand scheme of what you are. You are not just solely this person struggling through life or going through life swimmingly. You're also something more, something that never moves, something that never gets entangled in the world. So it's just free from all biases, all judgment, all happiness and sadness. It just is. You can't get more amazing and beautiful and perfect than that. Than something that just is. Doesn't even have dimensions. It just is. And that's what you are on the deepest level. However, that can't be without your individual self. You can't recognize that without your individual self. Ergo, they are inseparable. So you are an extension of that which is still. You are the movement within that stillness. So you are both. And that's really, really beautiful. Like the whole analogy of the wave and the ocean. You are both. And there's nothing wrong with understanding that you are the immovable source that is untouched by reality, but you're also living in reality. You also get to experience reality as the amazing person that you are. Have a wonderful day or evening, my fellow expressions of consciousness. Take care.